My name is Chi Olayiwola. I'm a Scrum Master and Agile Delivery Manager combined together, working as an ADM, but also a Scrum Master. Um, and tonight on Tuesday, we had a brief look at all the roles. So this night, we just want to go into a bit more detail about the role of the Scrum Master. Okay, so it will be an introduction to the Scrum Mastering um, profession. So that's what we want to look at tonight. As Laome has said, please, if you have any questions, just drop them in the chat or note them down, and then we'll take them at the end of the session so that we don't use more than the time that we have taking questions and then not being able to finish what I have for us tonight. Okay, so before we go into who a Scrum Master is and all that, we want to know what Scrum itself is all about. Okay, so Scrum is an agile project management framework that helps team work together effectively to develop and deliver high quality products. It provides a flexible and iterative approach to project management, mainly used in software, but it's now applicable to all other industries. Now, I've underlined those few words so because I'm going to go back to them and use them to give an in-depth kind of to what I'm trying to explain that Scrum is. So first underline the first few underlined words there is the Agile Project Management Framework. Okay, so Agile is a method, is an approach to managing a project. That you have the waterfall, which is the traditional method, and then you have Agile. I'm not going to go deep into that, just so we understand where Scrum falls into. Okay, and then Scrum happens to be one of the frameworks that is under the Agile approach or Agile methodology. Okay, so that is what Scrum is. So there are a lot of other frameworks under Agile, but just Scrum is one, and most especially the common one that is being used out there, either for software development or other industries. Scrum is mainly the popular one that is being used. The other ones are also efficient for other projects, but we're looking at the Scrum one. Okay, so that's why you have that underlined word there, just to help us to understand what Scrum is and where it falls from, where it's originating from. And then it helps the team to work together effectively. Okay, so you have a team of expertise in their own rights coming together to work. So we need a process that would make them to be able to work together effectively, interwoven, gel together so that they're able to work together and their working together is effective. So this is where you have their communication and collaboration coming into place. Okay, and that is one of the emphasis, of Scrum. They are the aspect of the team being able to communicate and collaborate effectively so that they can develop what they need to do and deliver high quality products when they work together effectively. And then it provides a flexible and iterative approach. So the flexibility there is the ability to adapt, to be able to change, to be able to respond to change on time. And that is one of the emphasis and the highlight of Agile. If you look at what Agile itself is all about, it's all about agility, being able to be flexible and ready to respond and change effectively at times. And then the iterative approach there is working in circles. So we don't do everything at a go. We do it in little by little, in a in an iterative approach called which is a circle. The process is a circle process, and then it's called a sprint. So sprint by sprint, we do what we need to do. We finish what we're doing in the sprint. We review what we've done in the sprint with the stakeholders. We're able to take on continuous improvement. We're able to adapt, make some changes, add it to whatsoever we've built before, go back and start another one. And so doing, at the end of each sprint, there is a value that is added to whatsoever we've built in the previous sprint. And that is how it continues to until we have the finished product at the end. That's agile, and that's the Scrum process in a nutshell for us. Okay. And then I've just put it there that it was mainly being used, agile is an approach mainly being used before in the software industry, where you build software and all that, but now it's applicable to various industries. So that is Scrum in a nutshell. Okay. There will be other trainings that will come up in the course of your internship that will delve more into what Agile is all about, giving you more insight into Agile, giving you more insight to what was in place before the birth of Agile and all that. But we're not going to go into that tonight. Okay, so before also we go for that, I just want to also give us a brief explanation or differentiation between Scrum Mastering and Scrum Mastery. So if you look at the invite that went out, it says Scrum Mastery. But before we become a master, before we get that mastery act of things, we need to first go through the Scrum mastering aspect. You need to learn and know both the theory and the practical aspect of what your role as a Scrum master is before you become you get a mastery in what you're doing. And so Scrum mastering is just understanding of a Scrum master role and responsibility within the Scrum team. I've been able to explain what Scrum is. So when I keep making mention of Scrum, now you understand that it's one of the framework of Agile and is a process with which you're, but we have an understanding more as you go in tonight and also in the course of of the internship. Okay, how the Scrum Master uses the framework to ensure that the team understands and follow the principles and practice. So Scrum as a framework has its own processes that needs to be followed, has its own principles that needs to be followed, some best practices that the team can that the team needs to imbibe into the way they are working, and it helps them. That is what helps them to add value to whatsoever that they are doing. That is your role and the responsibilities that you use within the team in order to be able to make them use that process, the best practices, put it in place in order for them to get the best out of the process. Whereas the Scrum Mastery aspect of things is the overall understanding and proficiency you get to and you apply having agile principles and practices and values. So when it comes to Scrum Mastering, you're just looking at the Scrum process in its own. When you become a master or going further, because it goes beyond just becoming a Scrum Master when you get to mastery. So you've mastered the art of Scrum, but it goes beyond that. You have an understanding, you have the proficiency in Agile principles itself. I said it that Agile is a method that has other principles under it. So when you have the mastery of Scrum, you just don't know about Scrum Scrum process alone. You know about all the other frameworks. You're able to differentiate between the frameworks of Agile. You're able to look at a project and decide that, oh, for this project, this best suited framework is Agile, is Scrum, or for this other project, the best suited framework is maybe Kanban, or all the other frameworks that Agile has. So that's when you become mastery, not just for Scrum, but for Agile itself. Okay, so you have the principles, the practices, and the values of Agile. You're able to apply it. So that was how I said it goes beyond the role of a Scrum Master. It goes deep into understanding Agile, the ability to adapt not just Scrum, like I've explained, and other frameworks also to various organizations, to various projects that you might have. Is it data migration project? Is it digital transformation? Whatsoever projects that you're working on, you're working with, you have an understanding of that project, and you're able to give advice to either the client or the organization you're working with to say, I think the best framework to use is this one. That's when you become mastery when it comes to Scrum. And that is where, in the course of this 3 months, going through the learning, going through the practical and both the theory that you need to learn, researching more by yourself, you become a master. At the end, you've learned the mastery aspect of Agile to be able to use it, to confidently go out there to look for a job with what you have in your hand. Okay, so we want to look at Scrum Mastering itself. So Scrum Mastering, like I said, is an act of leading, you're guiding a team through a project using some of Agile framework processes. Yeah, it could be, like I said earlier on, either Scrum itself, it could be Kanban and all that. You might be wondering, okay, so why not Agile Master? Why are we calling it Scrum Master? So you are a Scrum Master because of the Scrum process, but it's not limited to that, because by the time you have the proficiency of Agile, like I said earlier on, you're able to you're expected to know all the other frameworks to understand how it works. And that's when you give advice and you become a master in what you do. So a Scrum Master is a facilitator. You're a true leader of the Scrum team. So you work within a team that is called the Scrum team. The encompasses the product owner, the developers, the QAs, GAs, depending on the kind of project that it is and all that. So you are the owner, the master of the Scrum. The Scrum is the process that they're using to manage that project that they're working on. And you are the person facilitating the processes and the principles of Scrum to say, this is what Scrum says, this is what we need to do, this is the process we need to put in place in order for us to do what we need to do. You're the facilitator of that process. And your responsibility, like I said, is ensuring that the team follows that. So you're not managing the team, you're guiding them and you're supporting them using the Scrum framework in order for them to be able to achieve the goal of the project at the end of the day. Okay. So we want to quickly look at some of the Scrum Master skills. So we made mention of them, but we're just going to talk a bit in detail about some of them. So you have to some of the skills you need to have the facilitation skills because you'll be facilitating meetings. For Scrum process, there are a lot of ceremonies. The main ceremonies that you need to facilitate. You have the sprint planning, you have the daily stand-up, you have the sprint review, you have the retrospective, you have the refinement. You need to be able to facilitate it. Now, facilitating goes beyond, I'm just going to run the meeting. You're not a presenter. So you need to know when the meeting is supposed to happen, schedule the meeting in, remind your team member about the meeting, ensure they're able to come to the meeting, everything for that meeting to be productive, for that meeting to be focused and all that, you're able to put it in place and make sure that meeting happens. So you facilitate some of the meetings. So you have to have a facilitation skills to ensure that things run smoothly for the meeting. You have to have communication skills. There is no way you facilitate things you don't have communication skills. Communication is about how we get, ideas across, how we share ideas, how we share knowledge. So you need to have your communication skills and be able to communicate effectively. It goes beyond the speaking communication. You need to be concise. You need your language, your medium to be simple and clear, clarity, not ambiguity. And it's not just limited to you alone. You need to be able to coach your team also to know how to communicate. A lot of people communicate in different ways. Some say things, and in their head they believe, I've been able to communicate to people and all that. So you need to coach members of your team either one-on-one or as a group, the art of communicating. So you have to have the skill in order to be able to do that for them. And then you are a leader. So you need to have a leadership skill because you're leading this team. You're not managing them, but you're leading them. You're guiding them, so you have to motivate them. You have to support them. You have to help them with teamwork, everything you need to do because Scrum Guide sees you're not a servant leader anymore. You're a true leader, and a true leader leads by example. So you have to lead by example. Also, you have to be open, you have to be honest, you have to add value to what you're saying, doing, in order for your team to be able to pick that and also to make use of it. You have to have the coaching skills. You need to be able to coach them. This is a process they've not used before. They might have used it before, and some might feel, oh, well, it's not effective. I don't know why we're using it. Another, why do we need to use it? Why do we need to do this and that? You need to be able to coach them. So coaching them is telling them how it is done, at times doing it for them, watching them doing it, setting up workshops to make them use the process, dialoguing with them, trying to get their buy-in into things. So you're not forcing them into things. You're getting their buy-in into them. You're giving them explanation, you're giving them clarity, and then you're also checking with them to ensure that they understand what you're saying, asking question, answering their question, asking them what they think, we thought have a thought-provoking sessions with them in order for them to be able to come into the realization of that process itself, rather than you forcing it down their throat, if I can use that word, which would not kind of sell to them because you're trying to tell them this is the best way or this is the best way for us to do things. So you have to use examples, show them different examples, that will help them, to get the buy-in into what the process you're trying to tell them to start using. So you have to have that coaching skills in place. You have to also have a problem solving skills. You need to be able to identify a problem. You need to be able to know what the problem is. You need to be able to research, investigate into that problem, what causes the problem, have an action in place, and then review the problem also. So it could be anything. So if there's a problem, you have to identify it. Even if it is brought to you and all that, you need to investigate to know what is this problem? What is the name that we can give this problem? How did it come about? Investigate into things and all that. Have an action plan in place, and then review it in order for you to have continuous improvement in place going forward. That's another skill that you need to have. You have to also have a conflict resolution skills. You have different people from diverse backgrounds. You have different people from diverse professionalism coming together to work. There will be conflict. There will be people arguing about things. There will be people not backing down because of things. You have to come there and resolve things. So you resolving things is not siding A against B. You resolving things is having a discussion with A to know what happened, having a discussion with B, and then having an analytical reasoning to know, oh, I think I know where this is coming from. At times, being able to make them meet and agree in the middle ground, not compromise their belief, but being able to make them meet in the middle ground whereby they're able to resolve things. So you have to have that skills also to be able to resolve conflict between your team members. It could be between your two team members. It could be between a team member and a stakeholder. It could even be between you and a stakeholder, but you have to have that skill in place in order for the team to, be productive. And then collaboration. Yeah, there has to be collaboration within your team members. Like when I said earlier on about working together effectively, it's not just about working together alone. It has to be effective. Our working together has to be effective. Has to bring about an outcome, a productive outcome, an outcome that has value inside, and that is the team collaborating together. Being able to work together, being able to reach a common ground, share knowledge, within one another, able to help one another. Somebody has more skills than another person, being able to, kind of help that person up and all that. And most times you, as the Scrum Master, you are the one that brings about that collaboration. So you need the collaboration skill also to be able to do that, to make sure everybody merges together, everybody works, everything is working hand in hand, they're supporting one another, they're encouraging one another to do what the teamwork. You have to be a team player yourself to make your team members a team player. You have to be able to help them, motivate them, support them, encourage them. Those are all the things you do. And when they see you doing that, they do it also, for themselves. So you have to have that skill also. You have to be creative. At times when you resolve conflict, or there are times when you solve problems, you have to use creativity to do it. You have to use creativity. One thing, quickly, just to give you an example, in a meeting where you notice that your team members do not want to share things, they don't want to be open, they don't want to have this openness of, there's been a situation where, where I've made a mistake before and I'm able to do this. You can use yourself as an example. Oh, there was a team I was working, or last week I made a mistake and all that and everything. If you, their leader, can own up, you can see them owning up. And their owning up is not because you want to be judgmental or anything about like that. It's just you want them to be transparent. You want them to be open to get to that place. So you have to be creative in order to get them to talk, to get their buying into whatsoever process you're putting it there that they need to be able to use. And then you have to be able to build your team. I said earlier on, diversity comes in, people from different culture, people from different professionalism and all that coming together to form a team. There will be teething periods, there will be friction times, but you need to build the team because they have to work together for you to get them into that place where they can collaborate and work together effectively. You need to build the team. So you have to have that team building skills. You can research into what activity can we do, to build ourselves up, what kind of games can we do that can bring about that bonding, that closeness that makes the team tighter. So you have to have that skill also. And then you have to have the emotional intelligence. This is where you motivate your team. You have empathy for your team members. Not that your team members are going through some things, or you feel or that they're going through some things, but because you just want them to 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 deliver at the end of the sprint, you won't care about that. You have to have one-on-one meetings at times with people to encourage them. You need to be aware of that. You need to be able to help them through, motivate them, to give them advice, to be able to help them through. I'll give you an example. Over the course of last week, we had a meeting and I could see one of my team members, he was blowing his nose, a lot. It was just all his face were red and everything. He was muted, his camera was on and all that and everything. And he kept blowing in his nose and everything and all that. After the meeting, I sent a message to him to say, "Oh, I noticed you have cold and everything. I hope you've used something. Please keep yourself warm, take care of yourself and everything and all that." You need to be able to do that. You have to be able to see that. You can't just concentrate on, "Oh, okay, so it's just a meeting, we're talking and everything. Okay, I can see him doing that and everything." You need to be able to reach out. That is using emotional intelligence. And believe you me, that kind of person motivated by that will be able to, work better. Somebody cares about me. You have to be able to do that because you're a leader. You are the if I can use the word lifeline that holds that team together for them to be able to be productive. So you have to have all these skills. And I'm sure there are some of these skills you have already in whatsoever job you're doing already. You need to be able to bring them in, to be able to work as a scrum master. And this is not just the skills of a scrum master. There are more than this, but these are the main ones, at least for a scrum master, that you need to have. Now, let's look at some of the responsibilities, some of the things you do as a scrum master. So you facilitate. You said it already. You have to have facilitating skills. You facilitate. There are scrum ceremonies and other meetings that you might need to facilitate. You need to be able to facilitate. You bring the team together. You bring collaboration between the team and the stakeholders themselves. There are release planning meetings that you have to have with not just your development team or your Scrum team, but other teams that are working towards the release of that particular project or a feature. If that is what you're releasing, some teams release monthly. So to plan the release meeting and all that, you need to facilitate all those meetings. Schedule the meeting, discuss before you schedule the meeting, discuss with people. "Oh, I want to schedule it for this time. Hope it's okay with your team. Hope there's somebody that can come from your team and all that." And once you get the buy-in of everyone, you schedule that meeting and all that. And then you need to also, there is part of the charter for a team. They need to have a suitable definition of done. Okay, so it's not just going to happen like that. So the Scrum Master who knows that this is part of the Scrum process or Agile process, you need to be able to facilitate that. And what that is just a structure, a documentation of, "Oh, these are the process for us. This is what we mean when we say a work item or a feature is done. These are the checklists, that needs to be in place for that to be done." You have to facilitate that, and that has to be in place for the team to be able to rely on and to be able to use. You need to maintain sustainable pace. You have a meeting, you can see how the project is going because you have metrics that that you use to kind of track the team's progress and their progress and their process. And you have to have sustainable pace. So there are meetings that you need to put in place, facilitate also to say it could be a one-on-one meeting. It could be mainly most times is a team meeting. And then, we talked about team bonding, team shielding. So you to help them to shield them and to build them, you need to facilitate activities, also meetings or activities most time that helps to do the bonding. Take them to lunch. You could understand, if you have the budget to do that, take them to lunch. Team outings, you can have that. Even if it is a remote team, there are team bonding activity that you can do online, put in place that you can do online. Also peer programming, also you can facilitate it. This person is stronger than this person. You call them, encourage them, and put peer programming in place where somebody is learning, by watching another person, or that other person is teaching that person, to upskill them. Okay, so you facilitate all that. And then you also encourage your team. They are face-to-face communication. Like I said, encourage them. When using the example of the guy I said was having a cold and all that, and I just need to encourage him, you empathize with him and all that. There are times where you need to encourage his team. There are times when they're overwhelmed with work, depending on what is happening. Maybe because of the complexity, maybe because there's a crash on the website. There are some out of the team's hand and out of your hand situation that will happen, and the team is demoralized. You have to encourage them through that. Okay. You need to encourage the team to be self-organizing and to be accountable, to be open and to be accountable. They need to be accountable for whatever they do. You have to encourage them to be transparent. People don't like transparency. They just want to do what they need to do and move on and all that. But you need to teach them, you need to encourage them. Part of that is part of what you need to do, to encourage them that they have to be transparent, they have to be open. When you've not done something, just say, oh, yesterday I thought I would be able to finish this because that was what I said during the stand-up yesterday, but I've not been able to do it because of they need to be open, they need to be transparent, they need to know that when they say it, they're saying it not because somebody is going to blame them or judge them, but they just need everybody to know where we are at a particular time. So they have to be transparent, they have to be open, and it takes maturity to being open, at stand-up reviews and even at retrospective. Some team members should be able to come to retrospective to say, oh, I noticed I wasn't able to do that. Now, these meetings, like I said, are not judgmental. They are not meetings that have been set in place so that you can point accusing fingers and all that. But the team members themselves, you need to encourage them through the process and all that to get to that. And that was why I was using the example that even you as a leader has to use an example of yourself. Though I've made mistakes before, I've done this and that before, and everything. That encourages them also to be able to do the same thing. They need to be able to adapt to change. They need to respond to change. When we do something, maybe even if it is in the requirement of what the client wants, and then we demo it to them during the review, and they're saying, oh, well, we don't want it this way, we now want it that way, and everything. They have to be able to get to a stage when they do that. Okay, so fixing problems also without waiting to find out who broke it. Like I said, no blaming culture. You have to encourage that within your team. You have to also, part of your responsibility is to also to encourage the team, or to make sure that the team reflects. Okay, so this is where the retrospective, which is one of the Scrum ceremonies, come into place. The team are able to look at the metrics that are in place and use it to reflect on how they've worked in order for them to put a continuous improvement in place. So we're not looking at it again to blame, but just to put improvement in place. You need to help them to report to management. So there are times when at the end of the sprint, you as a Scrum Master, you will provide what we call the sprint report of how that sprint has gone, the goal. Were we able to achieve the goal? We didn't achieve the goal. Why didn't we achieve the goal? What are the things that happened during the sprint? Is it because of the capacity? Anything could have been the reason. You need to be able to report that sprint to management. And also, again, like I said, there's a Scrum ceremony called the retrospective meeting. So the team, you need to help them also to reflect on how they've worked and then discuss and put improvement in place going forward, so that they improve on something maybe that didn't go well during during the sprint. They're able to reflect on that quickly. Also, you have to be able to, you're responsible for rewarding your team members. They do well, appreciate them. Appreciate them when they do well. And even when they don't do well, motivate them. Oh, well, it didn't go as we planned. So what happened? Okay, so let's put this plan in place and everything. And I know that, okay, the next time we're able to do it, you need to be able to do that. Let them, help them to take pride in what they have done well. Okay, so it's not about, oh, they've done it and everything. Okay, yeah, we finished that sprint. Okay, let's go into the next sprint and all that. They're not machines. Okay, they're human beings with feelings. So learn to appreciate them also. Let's celebrate the successes. And like I said, even the ones that where we didn't do well, it's not about blaming, but just say, okay, so we didn't get to where we ought to get to. So you don't have things like for example, in the reports I print out at times, the things we're able to complete during the sprint, I will say, oh, we completed this. The ones we didn't complete, I won't put it in the reports that, oh, we didn't complete it. I would put in substantial work carried out, implemented, but not yet completed. So that is not saying that they didn't do anything. It may be because we didn't get to finish it. Maybe it's the testing aspect that wasn't done. So you're not going to put in your result, we didn't do anything, as if we just folded our hands throughout this sprint, not doing that. So you're able to encourage them with such words, even when you put reporters, and then they know that this our Scrum Masters got our back. When we do things, that doesn't mean that when they don't do the right things, you cover it up for them. That's not what I'm saying. But also being able to, stand for them and let them know, or that you're there for them. You have to protect the team. That's another main responsibility you have. You have to shield them from external forces. You have to shield them from stakeholders. You have to shield them from not just clients, but also other departments, other leaders in the department coming in to distract them from the goal that has been set to for work to be done during the sprint. You need to help them to get rid of impediments. There will be things that are blocking them. It could be resources, it could be tools, it could be anything, but you need to be there to help them to resolve those impediments. Now, there are some impediments that even the teams themselves can do. They're able to do that. But the ones where they need the external team to do that, you have to go and do that so that they can get on with what they need to do. Okay, so you need to protect and shield the team. That's one of your responsibilities. And then you need to help your team to learn and to share. Like I said earlier on, Scrum is a process that they might not be conversant with. They might not have full understanding of. You need to help them to get to have a shared understanding of what the Scrum process or Agile is all about. So there'll be a lot of coaching from you. There'll be a lot of mentoring from you to help them. It might not just be your team members. It might be less experienced Scrum masters who are in the organization who you will need to, constantly mentor in order to help them to have that experience and upskill to be able to do what they need to do. So those are some of the responsibilities you have as a Scrum master. And then we just quickly want to look at some of the tools that you use. So there are some tools that you use that they are your transparency tools, like your Scrum board, where the team is able to have transparency and visibility of work that is going on within a sprint. So you have Azure DevOps provides that. Jira also provides that. There is Trello also. You have Miro also as a communicative and collaborative tools that can be used. You have the Google Workspace, or the services provided by Google that you can use. You have the Google Sheet, you have the Google Drive, and all that you're able to use. You have MS Office also, the Outlook, the MS Word, Excel documents, PowerPoint, Cloud, all the things provided by Microsoft also are tools that can be used for collaboration, for communication. There, Slack is another one that is there. And then the old-fashioned email is still there. It's not going anywhere. It's there also. You have meeting on MS Teams. You have meetings. I doubt if I'm not sure, but I doubt if any professional organization out there uses Zoom, but at least you have MS Teams. I think most of them uses MS Teams. And there is another one, I think is Monday.com. They have their own meeting platform, I think also that they use also. And then you have the old-fashioned conference room that is still there. Also, there are times when you have people using both conference room and the MS Teams also. If you have a member that is working geographically away from where other people are working, you might have the hybrid of both working in the office and people working from home, that they are able to join in that meeting also. And then you have whiteboard. You have whiteboard on MS Office project that you can MS Office. I think that's for on 365. There is a whiteboard that you can use to do collaboration, to discuss and make agreements. And then you have the dashboard where the metrics are. Azure DevOps has its own. Jira also has its own, and I think Trello has its own also, where you can put all the metrics you using to help the team to track their progress and process on a dashboard, and then they're able to look at that in order to continue to improve how they work. So these are just some of the tools that you will use as a Scrum Master. Your pen is still there. The old-fashioned pen is still there. There are people using physical diary, but I think that has gone digital now with the use of Outlook and all that, and MS Teams. That is what is commonly being used now. So most things have moved to digital, but there's no how much we go digital that we get rid of the pen. So you can still use the pen. You can still have your notebooks, to do to scribble one thing or the other down. So those ones are still there that we're using. So these are just some of the tools that you will use. And now this is not just limited to you. This is also the tools that your team members will use. So you might be the administrator of the board, the project board, but definitely your BA, your QA, your DA, your developers, everyone has to be able to collaborate on that board, because like I said, it provides transparency of what we're doing and also visibility of what we're doing also. We can see on this some of these tools. Okay, so quickly I'm just going to go to projects. Okay, so earlier on while I was talking, I said agile frameworks are not limited now to just software development, even if that is what is started with. Now almost all industries are now making use of Scrum. All industries are making use of the agile methodology in running their project and adding value and delivering faster what they're doing with the project and how they manage the project. So you have the healthcare sector is using it, the banking system, the government, insurance. A lot of industries are running their projects now using agile frameworks or mainly Scrum or Kanban, depending on what it is. Some are still also using the traditional method because it is not all projects or all industries that is suited to Scrum. So some are still suited to the old waterfall system, and they are still doing that. I think the engineering aspect of the industry are still using that, or some are even combining both the traditional method, which is waterfall, and agile together, and you're having agile where they're able to do both methods to add value and to deliver on time or deliver to the client on time. That is also still in place. So you can use Agile and Scrum in any industry, not just software industry. They use it for services right now. They use it in all other industries. So and then quickly, I just quickly want us to see comparison, the Scrum Master salary comparison within the last 8 months. Okay, so the one I have here where you have the 59,745. Okay, so before I go for that, this is not cast in stone. So it's not as if, okay, if I go out there now, this is what I will be earning as a Scrum Master. Okay, so that is not where I'm saying. So let me quickly do a disclaimer now before I go before I go further into that. So that is not what I'm saying. Okay, so I'm just saying that I've gone on a website called salaryexpert.com, and it just gives samples of Scrum Master's salary scale in the UK. So this is not the scale that is used by all industries or all companies and all that in the UK. So this data is just gotten, like I said, from just this salaryexpert.com. There will be other ones also that you can do there. And they normally do their survey, I think, every week or thereabout. And what they do is just to carry out survey out from employers and anonymous employees, and then that is stated on their website. And what I've done is, as you can see, this one was the one for September 2023. Okay, so what I'm trying to do with this is just to let us know that there's good money in being a Scrum Master, and it's not just a role that the salary is static. So you can have maybe 59,000 for the next kind of 1 year or 2 years. It's something that is growing. It's a role that the salary is growing. Okay, so when you have the entry, you can see the entry salary, and this is per annum, okay, per year. You can see the entry salary here being 43,214 pounds. Okay, and this was the survey they had in September 2023. And for the entry level, you're looking at 1 to 3 years experience. For the average level salary scale, you're looking at between 4 to 7 years experience. And then for the senior level, you're looking at 8 years plus experience that are earning this. But guess what? You can actually find somebody with another company with having an average salary being this 73, depending on the industry, depending on the company, also, and depending on how much you can sell yourself, okay, to get the role. Okay, but this is just for you to see the salary skills that are out there for the Scrum Master. So, like I said, this was for September 2023 from the same website. This was in January 2024, and you can see the average salary going from 59,000 plus to 81,000 plus. You can see the entry going from 43,000 plus to 58,000 plus. And as of today, when I went on their website, this was what is there. So within January and May, you can see an increase again. Even if it is just 1,000 plus, it's still an increase for the average salary. And then you can see this was 58,000 plus, and then this is 59,000 plus. So for a Scrum Master, the salary doesn't stay static, like I said. So you're starting your internship now in May, and by the time you finish, when you're going to finish in the next 3 months, I assure you that the salary would have gone up also. So don't, but at the same time, like I said, this is just a survey that is being run by few employees and few employers by this organization. So you might have this, you might even have much more than this. When you search for Scrum Master's role and all that, you might get much more than this, and you can get. I've seen situations where people go for interviews and they are so good that they wanted them, and they are even bargaining to say, okay, so what we tell you that we're going to pay you when we start, we will pay you more than that. Okay, so this is just to give us an overview of what a salary scale for the Scrum Master is. And this is, like I said, based in the UK. So that's why we're using the pounds. Okay, so what is your expectation? What is expected of you? What you expect from us, and what is your expectation? What do you intend, or what might you be intending to gain out of this? So to be a Scrum Master, you're expected to participate in the Scrum Mastery training. So you have to participate in a training or a course, which is one of the courses among others that we offer at Blue Sky Citadel, where you're able to practice what you're being taught in a 3 months duration, internship duration. Okay. At the end of it, you'll be expected also. Okay, so you also need to be certified as a Scrum Master. So that is where your certification comes in. You don't need certification to get a job. Let me put that out there. Some organizations don't expect it. Some expect it. So in your requirements, they will say, oh, certification is required or certification is expected. Some will tell you certification is desirable. So that means they can employ you based on your expertise or your experience. You don't need a certification. Some, once you start working with them, they will tell you, oh, we expect you to get certified. Okay, so you have that there. Let me give you my own experience. I started working with the organization I was working with actually recognized PSM. They don't recognize I have my certification, but they just don't recognize from the body that I have. They recognize from another one. But the fact that I have the certification, they didn't mind. And after I joined, they paid for me to do the one they recognize, which is the PSM one. They paid for me to do it. I did it, I passed it, and they're happy that, okay, the one we recognize, you're doing it. So my job was not dependent on the fact that I don't have a certification. And that's why I'm saying you don't need it to start looking for a job, but just have it in the back of your mind that you need to have it also. Because right now it's getting more common that recruiters and even organizations are expecting that you have that certification, just so that they know that you have all those skills and you have, the required certification, in the role that you said that you're doing. Okay. And then after that, you now start looking for job. We get to the job aspect. And for your job, you need to, after your before the end of your internship, we'll expect you that you will be guided through, okay? Creating your CV. Some organizations ask for cover letter, so you might have your CV and your cover letter, and it has to be something that sells you. And then you have to start applying for job. Target the recruitment channels, the websites, jobs and companies' websites out there relating to your role. Create an awareness for yourself, by registering and constantly applying for jobs out there. And then you have to develop your interview skills. You need to research interview questions, prepare them, practice your delivery, you need also to build an online presence. Join network on websites like LinkedIn, social media, professional social media website that deals with your role. Also join blogs, professional blogs, and all that can help you, to put your presence out there online as the professional that you are, as a Scrum Master that you are. You need to do that. And when you get the job, that is not where it stops. Okay, so congratulations when you get the job, but that is not the end of it. That is not where it stops. The journey still continues, because the industry you're in every industry is an industry that is growing. Every industry is an industry that is out there, and they're growing, things are developing and all that. And if you end up in the software industry, is one that is, things are constantly changing, but it's for all industries really, not just limited to the software industry alone. So things are generally changes. So you need to develop yourself. You need to assess yourself at every point in time. I need to develop. I need to, get better. So it's not a destination. It's not your last bus stop. You're getting a job is just one of the bus stops, and then it continues. So you don't just stop there, you continue to improve yourself, you continue to grow, research, learn new things about your discipline, and remain relevant. That is where the mastery aspect of the Scrum Master comes into place, because you're getting the experience, you're growing, you're developing yourself, you're meeting with other people to grow, in the skills that you have. And you remember that the only thing that is constant in life is change, and achievers never stop, or they never quit in what they do. So I wish you all the best in all your endeavors, and welcome to the journey that will change your career and put you on a better platform. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if
Thank
there's
you.
any questions that we might quickly take.
Thank you, Moji.
Question.
Hi, Moji. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Sorry for the feedback. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the session. We always appreciate you. Even those that have been doing it since 1920s, always like a refresher, like, things, some of the things you just neglect by the side, and, it just refreshes your mind. That's why I really don't mind always staying on and listening to everything. Thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge. So, guys, especially the Scrum Masters, hold Moji's jacket, or if you want somebody to incite you, like Ogogo is talking about. Okay, thank you so much, really, Moji, for the session. So we'll quickly transition into the Q&A, and remember, we just have like about 8 more minutes for the Q&A. Then Deji will take the last 5 minutes of the call today. So if you have a question, please feel free to raise your hands. So you can speak. Please, your hands up so I can call you. Thank you. Any questions for Moji? Or she's too clear. Sometimes some people can be too clear. You do not have any questions. So it's still fine, but I'm just hoping it's okay. Hi, Remy.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for the delivery. My question is a simple one. When you're speaking, you mentioned team members. These team members, who are these team members made up of?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, thank you. So in a Scrum team, you have the product owner in your team, you have the Scrum Master, you have the business analyst, you have the software tester, which is the QA, you have the developers in your team. Now, like I said, depending on the kind of project you have, you might have a DA in your team also. If you're dealing with maybe data migration, you're developing a tool that has to do with database and all that, you might have a DA also being in your team. So those are the people that make up the Scrum team. Now, your Scrum team is a team inside a project team. And then inside your project team, you'll have the Scrum team itself. You'll have also the stakeholders being part of that team also, who you're always collaborating with in order for you to in order for you to deliver the project. So when I kept talking about the team, you work with your team, you do this with your team. As a Scrum Master, the people you focusing on, you're supporting and you're guiding are the people in the Scrum team, which is the product owner, the BA, the business analyst. Don't let me use the abbreviation now. The product owner, the business analyst, the developers, the software developers, the QAs, who are the software testers. And if you have the you have the DA also part of your team, they are there also. So depending on the project you're working on. Now, I'm sure the ADMs and the PMs here are wondering, so where do we fall into? You work with the Scrum Master. So you're not part of the Scrum team, but you work with the Scrum team because you look at the bigger picture. While the Scrum Master is focusing on the Scrum team and the Scrum process, you're looking at the bigger picture, which is how do we deliver? What we need to do, the approach towards delivery. That is what you look at. So you still work with the team. So you're working with the team, but not working in the team. So those are the Scrum team. I hope I'm clear.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you so much for answering the question. Just to add, really, I know some people really always get confused about this. So if you probably take the Scrum guide now, the Scrum guide will just tell you that there are three members, particularly like the POs, the Scrum Masters, and the developers. So where that clarity now comes from with all what Moji explained now is the development side of things. So we call them developers, but they comprise of different expertise. So the reason they are called developers is the truth is in the real sense of it, they are the ones truly doing the work of the development part, not to put down the PO's work, not to put down the Scrum Master's work or the BA or anything, but they're the ones actually developing and doing what exactly needs to be carried out on that project, that increment we want at the end of the day. So don't always get confused by that composition. So ideally, if you just want to say a Scrum team in plain, okay, we have the PO, we have the Scrum Masters, and we have the developers. But it's the content of the developers that matters, and it also depends on your project. So it depends on the kind of project you have for you to be able to know the exact composition of your team. So when you're in an interview and they tell you that one of those questions you ask back to the interviewers, for example, is for them to give you an idea of, the composition of what the team you'll be working with will look like. That will even give you more insight, because an engineering team, you'll just be hearing a lot of developers and analysts, right? But if you're going to maybe a design team or something, you'll be hearing the UX guys, the UI guys, and all. So it depends on exactly what the project is. That's what will form the composition of your team. So I'm only saying it down in case you enter a team and you don't see a BA, you'll be like, this team is incomplete, so don't go and embarrass yourself. You understand? This is me on the lighter notes. So you have to know what project you're working on for you to have a composition of the team. Now, if you now even have the situation where you are now lacking one or two people within your team, then you can make an official request to say, okay, we might need people with this expertise to carry out this aspect of the project. So the composition in simple terms will just be PO, Scrum Masters, developers, but in details, there are a lot under it, a lot. Thank you. I just thought to add that to it. So thank you so much. Next person. Remy, your hands are still up. Okay, please put your hands up. Any other person that has any questions for Moji for this introduction? That's why I like Scrum Mastery. Scrum Mastery is direct, simple English. Everybody understands. Thank you, Moji. Cut something. So are we sure we're all good? We sure we're all good? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Deji, are you ready for us?